This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Let's welcome in Tom Murphy to the program, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports. Tom, we opened up the show this morning. We appreciate you joining us as always, talking about the potential to play some younger guys. And I know Sam Pittman was asked yesterday about particularly the wide receivers. Do you think this is one of the few games where we might get to see some true freshmen actually make their way out on the field for some significant snaps?
Morning, guys. Well, possibly. Look, this is a super, super tough schedule, and you cannot assume that they're going to be ahead of or behind somebody to a degree that you felt comfortable putting your young guys in hardly any games. And honestly, yeah, they have a lot bigger guys and, better numbers and probably hit harder than Missouri State. But, it doesn't mean it's going to be a rout. However, there are guys, like, for instance, Tykeus Crawford got a few snaps last week. Well, they feel like he's good enough for SEC play. Well, get him a couple series. And then, he did go in depth on a few more people, some receivers, some DBs, possibly like Keywan Parker at cornerback, that have been practicing well enough that they deserve some time. And he's like, if they're athletic enough, if they know what they're doing, if we trust them, we can put them in. And even if that means, it's a relatively tight score or whatever. So, yeah, the short answer to your question is I do believe they want to see what some younger guys can do, because with all that's happened in their secondary, I think they have to be able to think other guys can come in and contribute. And if that means Keywan Parker and maybe some other safeties, maybe like a Jalen Lewis back there at corner. I asked Sam about him yesterday. And maybe some other guys around the field, like, Mbake and maybe Satania, his ankle's good enough.
What about backup quarterbacks? Malik Hornsby, we've seen him at the wide receiver position this year. I guess he's taken a snap or two at quarterback. Could we see him more in this game if there's a lead, you think, Tom?
Yeah, and Quincy McAdoo, I didn't mention it, receiver too. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, Hornsby, the guy has contributed in both games, and it's been minimal, but when he's had the ball, defenses have to account for him. He can get to the edge, and I can't help but think in the Penn State game when the Penn State defense was worn out, they had Hornsby in there late in the game. He was just running around the edge and just trucking. Just killing people on speeding past them. So I would like to think they would have a nice package for him no matter what the score is. Maybe late in the first half, maybe early in the second half, maybe late in the first half or sometime in the second half. And more than just the motion plays and the pitches and those strike passes and stuff that Kendall Briles calls.
Tom, what's your expectation for Dominic Johnson making his return this Saturday at running back?
Yeah, maybe a series, let him get hit a couple times, maybe a couple of runs. I wouldn't want to overextend him. You got a really good thing going at running back. And as Sam Pittman called it, you don't want to upset the apple cart. They have a nice rotation, but they also know Dominic Johnson was just a huge find. I don't think you can name a guy who was a better, good surprise last year than Dominic Johnson, the way he came on. The guy was at tight end for a day or two in camp, mm-hmm. and then became the number 2 tailback for them. So all these questions that you guys are asking, like if I was Nick Saban, I'd be like, I get it. You guys are assuming we're going to route these guys on Saturday. And apparently he went off this week for the questions on the ULM game. But, no, Arkansas is favored by a huge margin. Missouri State, I'm sure, will be able to do some things, hit some plays that cause Arkansas trouble and have the potential to score some. I just think the way Arkansas is playing right now, the way they take people seriously, they're not going to go into this. Sam said this on his radio show last night. You don't start getting ready late in the week for every game. You get ready on Monday and, Sunday film, whatever you do Sunday and Monday, and you and you're ready. And so I think they're going to be hard hitting. I think back to that South Carolina game. It was a game, but the difference was Arkansas just kept the pressure up and kept scoring. And on defense, they kept hitting. And when they knew Spencer Rattler was passing, they started getting to him and forcing the ball out. I mean, there was a crazy play where I think he passed it, the ball tipped back to Rattler. He started running, Bumper Poole crushes him, or somebody does, or maybe Pooh Paul crushes him. The ball's loose, and Rattler or somebody recovers. And that play kind of typified how hard striking that game was for the Razorbacks.
Yeah, because Sanders came off the edge, tipped out Rattler's hands. Then he picked it back up, and then Pooh Paul came in and just crushed him, fumbled it again, and then an offensive lineman picked it up.
Yeah, went from bad to worse on that play. Tom, is this another 300-yard rushing performance for Arkansas?
Well, I mean, I think it could be. Look, I really respect Missouri State and the way Bobby Petrino builds programs, but they don't have a bunch of 300-pound linemen on defense. They don't have 230, 240-pound linebackers. KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders outweigh all of Missouri State's linebackers. So I think they can do that. But I also think this is a good game to get more confidence built up in what you're going to do with the passing game, because there's going to come a game. It could be A&M next week that you're struggling to run the ball, and you've got to have some faith in your pass game. So I just think they're going to keep a nice balanced approach. They're going to get those receivers involved in the game, and they're going to be able to move the ball successfully both ways.
Tom, I got a question about the back end of this football team. We've seen through the first two games, Nudi's got 2 interceptions, and there's been times they've looked good. There's been times they look bad. Are we going to learn anything more about the secondary this game with, as you just said, how Bobby Petrino builds a program, particularly in the passing game and trying to figure out the weaknesses in defenses?
Yeah, sure. We'll have a lot more input. Rallying to the ball is a big deal. You could tell Sam Pittman was disgusted with that short pass play that the dude just broke into a 38-yard touchdown. It was like, wow, where is anybody? And I think when you're sending extra guys, when you're blitzing the way Arkansas does now with Barry Odom, your defenders on the back end, they've got to be sharper on their responsibilities, take great angles, rally to the ball, and be good tacklers. And I'm not sure if anybody touched the guy on that play last week, but the middle of the field is going to have some opportunity for Bobby Petrino, and he's excellent. And we saw that 4 years in a row at exploiting the middle of the field. So they're going to have to be a lot more cognizant. Maybe they cover a little bit more in this game. Maybe they play more zone. That's the thing about what their scheme is now, is they can be very multiple. But yeah, Breeny's tackling, Kari Johnson, Simeon Blair, their open field tackling is going to be, paramount to a good outcome. And then the corners, again, are going to get more man coverage. I mean, so far, other teams have not been able to exploit it, and it's been available to them. And I asked Bobby Petrino about that, and he said a lot of times it's how much time the quarterback has to make that play when the blitz is coming at him. And so that's affected both Ben Bryant and Spencer Rattler in the first two games.
Tom, what are you expecting in terms of crowd and atmosphere Saturday night?
Well, yeah, I had some contact with the UA folks, and they're anticipating, close to a full house. I think it's going to be wild. I really hope everybody keeps things in good taste. And I said that Tuesday.
You're going to be disappointed.
And I'll say it again. Yeah, every time I talk between now and the game, I know it's not going to be all held in check, but, I don't make it into a clown show, people. So, but I just think I hope to hear a warm welcome for Bobby Petrino. I've gotten some emails during the course of the week at people who are just furious at everything he did when he was here. But there's great respect for how he coaches. I mean, what he's done. I've talked to some players, read Chris Lowe's story on ESPN about how Tyler Wilson, DJ Williams, and that crew felt about him coaching up a team. And so I hope there'll be some respectful applause, and I'm sure there'll be boos and some pranks from the college, from the student section, and hopefully a competitive, game with a lot of cool highlights.
Tom, we'll leave it there. Enjoy the game Saturday night. We'll talk on Tuesday.
Way to wager on all your
Sounds
favorite
good. Y'all have a great
sports,
weekend.
contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. Bet online, where the game starts.